Hey, everybody, it's Tuesday, and today's story is a little bit different, but what we're seeing now is a crazy, let me put this over here, assault by Wall Street. What's going on? Anglo-Backs and Cyber, Team Details, Sean Donnelly, K8, everybody, thank you for coming. This is an interesting story because, we're no longer fringe, everybody. Longtime crypto and Bitcoin believers, well, things are changing. The headlines over the last 24 hours are absolutely wild. Coinbase joining the S&P 500. David Bailey launching a $700 million company. We covered that on DCA yesterday. DeFi technology started trading on the Nasdaq. We'll talk about more companies trading on the Nasdaq like Galaxy Digital. Microsoft purchased nearly 14,000 Bitcoin. Metaplan, another 1,200 Bitcoin. American Bitcoin Mining are doing an RTO with Gryphon Digital. And there's so much more all over the place. We have the biggest banks in the world that run $4 trillion are now saying their high net worth and ultra high net worth people are allocating to Bitcoin and crypto. And it's just, anyway, needless to say, things are wild. So thank you for being here and along for the ride. Let's get into the story. And of course, not financial advice. And thank you to everybody on Patreon. This is from Rexin OZ. And make sure I read this. Give my little eyes out. I am a daily watcher of this channel. I'm up around 400% from starting James, and want to thank you and the team for helping me. The DCS tool and Patreon membership are great. Woohoo! Well done. That is very impressive. 400%. If you're in the TradFi world, you'd be happy with 7%. But we're not happy with that. No, not at all. That's not going to get you anywhere. Let's start with the ugly news. First of all, this is the typical unlocks we get every single week. A couple of big ones here this week, this time around. Let me see. IOTA has upcoming unlock. Oh, it's only 0.4%. Stark, 4%. Stark are there like almost every week. Say 1.09%. IMX, Mutable X, 1.35%. Arbitrum, another 2%. It seems like all the layer twos dump in 2% issuance every couple of weeks. All of them, all across the board. Optimism as well. Prime, 1.26%. And then another ApeCoin, 2%. ApeCoin just rains down coins every single day. That's just how those things work. But hopefully you all know better. Be in quality hard assets. Now, that was the ugly news. Bad news, a little bit. This is a little bit of macro bad news, which technically could be good news too. But this is the 30-year Treasury yield, and it's at an 18-year high. This is the total long end of the curve. And again, 4.889% hasn't been this high in 18 years. This means investors are worried about inflation, or they're worried about debasement, or nobody wants treasuries, or if they are buying a treasury, they want to get paid a lot to buy that thing. Either way, whether this goes higher or lower, if it goes higher, it means people have no confidence in fiat. If it goes lower, it means people will go risk on, which means they'll go put their money into Bitcoin. So either way, we win, ladies and gentlemen. And don't forget, the US administration needs to refinance about $9.2 trillion. And if this is what they're refinancing at, there's going to be tons of money printing, which will also help Bitcoin. So as I used to say for years, all roads lead to Bitcoin, ladies and gentlemen. And this guy is on fire. Let me try and move my little thing around because you got to get the full title of this guy. He is undefeated, ladies and gentlemen. April 4th, Jim Cramer gets on the TV, CNBS. And he said, a 1987-like crash is coming. April 4th is 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks. 5 weeks ago, the world was ending. He is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Whatever this guy says, just do the complete opposite. You'll be very, very successful. And in fact, another reason for alarm. I did warn you, we're still in the bad news. He just came out as well and says banks are the safest place to store your wealth. Okay, given the inverse Cramer indicator, that means if you have money in a bank, run for the hills, ladies and gentlemen. That is, as I believe, his latest warning. So when he says something is safe, it's not. When he says something, we're going to have the worst crash since 1987, it's going to be the biggest boom. since probably 1987, etc. Just take what he says, invert it, and you'll get great results. So shout out to Jim Cramer. Now, good news. This is good. Crypto over the last 7 days, and I got no idea what book is there, but that went down anyhow. But you can see this is everything divided by Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's flat divided by Bitcoin, but ETH beat Bitcoin by 8.45%. The ETH army are rejoicing. XRP took a little bounce the last couple of days, up 9%. Solana up a monstrous 32%. Did really, really well. And a bunch of other names kind of all over the place, mixed. This is another view of the, sorry, did I say 31 or 21%? Let me see, I need to get my glasses. 21.64 or 23.64. Either way, Solana went up a lot. And Bitcoin had a great week as well, up at 104,500 as you speak. In fact, real-time quote on Bitcoin. Let's see if the good juju here is going to drive it a little bit higher. 104,444. Wow, 4 4s in a row. That's a pretty incredible number. Anyway, that's where we are. It's been great. And we are still supposedly in Bitcoin season. But that looks very, very different if you look at the last 30 days of action. Now, this is all of the narratives over the last month. And it's funny because 6 weeks ago, when the market was in the toilet, when we were expecting, well, when Jim Cramer was expecting the worst crash since 1987, real world assets were top. They were the top narrative. Now AI is the top narrative again. I'll remove myself. NFT applications number 2, staking number 3, and Ethereum number 4. Ethereum had the best week, the best month they have had in years, ladies and gentlemen. So good for them, as well as many other players. Bitcoin is on the list here somewhere. I just can't see it. Where is Bitcoin? They're down towards about 23% for the month. Still very good. But Ethereum beat it for the first time in literally years. So as I say, every dog has its day. Not that ETH is a dog, but it's just an expression. Fear and greed, 70%. Look, last week, yesterday, now, greed. And soon will be in extreme greed when it goes to about 75. So wait for that. And May so far is up 11%, which is great. If we look at, I love looking at seasonalities and patterns. And if we look back at this, hey, Piper, thank you for coming. You will see the 2025 green year, which is the same as 2021, 2017, 2013. That's when the banana zone happens. If there is a banana zone, that's when the euphoria happens. That's when the most action happens. And normally, most of the action happens early on. So we're talking March, supposedly is supposed to be a great month. April, second best month of the year, but we only had 14% in April. And our March was negative, but only by 0.8%. And Feb was horrible, 14.6% negative, when the average return was 14.6% positive. January was kind of okay, pretty close. But so I believe all of these tariff tantrums delayed progress on this chart. So a lot of the gains to come are probably backloaded. So I still believe, as I said many times back in April and early May, do not sell in May and go away, because we're seeing so much action happen. Just imagine like we just ripped 2 months out of the cycle. We just destroyed, say, Feb, March, or March, April, and we're starting again. So we're moving the calendar back. That's the way to think about this cycle, I believe. I could be completely wrong. I'm just a guy on the internet, but I do believe it had a big impact. Also, Wales, not the country, the people that buy up a lot of Bitcoin are stacking like mad. This is from Bitcoin News, from Sentiment. And they say whales and sharks holding between 10 Bitcoin and 10,000 Bitcoin have bought 83,105 Bitcoin in the past 30 days. While retail holders, small retail holders, shrimp, between 0 and 0.1 Bitcoin sold 387 Bitcoin. So this is kind of sad to see that retail is capitulating, or maybe they're going into alts. Who knows? But the point is the whale stacking is incredible. As I mentioned, the the MicroStrategies, the ETFs, the Meta Planets, all the other treasuries around the world, they are buying like crazy. And M2 check-in, cool little chart here. Shout out to Sanjay. This is the correlation between M2, global M2, with a 12-week lead compared to the Bitcoin price. Now, what I like about this chart, it shows you how close they follow each other. Bitcoin price is that dark blue, and the green is the global liquidity. If the pattern continues, it's already been absolutely bang on. If it continues, it will take the price up north of 160, 170K at least. It will run out of steam eventually. It doesn't follow all the way, as we saw from that spike there back in December 2024. It kind of, the liquidity grew a lot. Bitcoin price didn't follow. But we'll see what happens this time, if it'll run out of steam or if it will continue. Either way, good things are coming, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, for a long time this year, the bull market's not over. When 30% of you wanted to throw in the towel, good thing you didn't. This is also, shout out to friend of the channel, Check On Chain. A quick review of all the different on-chain metrics here. His cool little HODLer dashboard, which I love. It shows you key on-chain metrics. So you got on the top left, MVRV Z topping cloud at 0.67, which means neutral valuation. It's not overbought or oversold. Then your short-term holder, SOPR, on the right-hand side, top, 1.03, also neutral, showing short-term holders are just above profitable on their positions on average, which is good. The short-term holder, MVRV, at 1.11, with a cost base of 93,800, means short-term holders are in profit, which is kind of a cool market sentiment. I don't know if cool is temperature cool, not much action, but they're in profit, which is good. And finally, futures funding rates creeping up at 3.7%, if I can read that correctly, are warming up, indicating growing speculative activity in the futures markets. And that means the carry trade will be back, which means the hedge funds will be buying things like ETFs and playing that carry trade again, as we've seen before. So all in all, things are looking pretty good. And this was some breaking news from the Bitcoin historian from Bloomberg New Voices. And this person at UBS, which is one of the biggest banks in the world out of Switzerland, they cater to what are called HNWs and UHNWs, high net worth individuals and ultra high net worth individual. By the way, high net worth individual is somebody who has a couple of $1 million. An ultra high net worth individual is somebody who has more than $30 million. So I won't survey anybody here if they have that much or not, because if you do, you need to keep it very quiet. But these folks, this cohort, which have, last I counted, about 2.4 trillion with the bank, are now allocating 5% into crypto, which is Bitcoin and other crypto. They weren't specific as to what, but this is very large. Again, 5% of their total assets into crypto, and they have a lot of assets. So things are happening very fast. So the topic today is TradFi, Wall Street, traditional finance are coming for crypto. So once again, congratulations to you all for being early. Woohoo! That's very important in this game. And the ETFs had 3 huge weeks. This is the Bitcoin ETF net flows in dollars. And you can see we had over 2 billion 3 weeks ago and over 1.2, 1.1 billion in the last 2 weeks, which is extremely positive. Again, Wall Street is coming for your crypto. That's why the whales are stacking. And from CoinShares, there's the digital asset fund flows as well for last week. You can see here, let me try pull up exactly what happened. They pulled in about 882 million in inflows. Some things had outflows, but Bitcoin had an inflow. And that is 4 consecutive weeks of gains, bringing year-to-date flows to nearly $7 billion, everybody. Again, Wall Street's coming. And the top 50 performance over the last 30 days, not 90 days, 30 days. You can see here, Bitcoin's in black. Had a great 26, 27, 28% week, depending on the hour you measure it, because it's such a volatile beast. Actually, let's check on that volatile beast. It's moved 12 bucks since I last mentioned it. It hasn't gone anywhere at all. But pretty much 75% of all the other alts have smashed it, which tells me, and I hinted at this a couple of weeks ago and a week ago and on ECA yesterday, that alt season is creeping back in. And yes, it has been a brutal winter. Definitely a bear market for alts, but they are coming back, and they come back fast when they do. But remember, there's a lot of them as well. And stock market fear and greed. We're not done with the crypto stuff, but I want to insert this here because it's very rare you see stock fear and greed at 69 when crypto fear and greed is 70. They're normally very disparate, very different. Today, they're almost the same, which is unusual. But if we look at the stocks of the last 7 days, and don't worry, I'm coming back to crypto. You see, the last 7 days have been incredible. NVIDIA up nearly 17%, Apple 7.4%, Microsoft 4%, Meta 11%, Amazon nearly 15%, Tesla 23%. The numbers are crazy, and all of these big AI adjacent names are doing incredibly well, even though they're categorized in different sectors where they don't belong, like retail, Amazon, when really it's an AI robotics company. If you look at their warehouse, it's all AI and robots that manage everything. Tesla, AI robotics. NVIDIA, power AI and robotics. Apple, trying to catch up with AI and robotics. Microsoft, AI. Meta, AI. Oracle, 10.4% AI. That's where the money is. Be part of that narrative, ladies and gentlemen. It will be revolutionary, very revolutionary. And we may only, actually, I can pretty much say with absolute certainty, this is the biggest industrial revolution to ever hit the planet, which means in our lifetimes, we'll never see anything this big. It's very, very, very important to be allocated to this narrative. I hope I've been preaching this since November 2022. I keep hitting it home because people are invested in the wrong stuff. You've got to be exposed to AI, okay? You have to be, or else you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And that would be sad. That would mean I'm wasting my time here. And here are the flows for the week for all the different assets. You can see, let me see, zoom into this. Bitcoin flows pulled in 867 million globally last week. And this is kind of interesting, this data, because we saw huge price action. We saw Solana go up 38%, but Solana lost 3.4 million from their funds. Weird. Who is buying it? We'll get into that in a second. Sui, 11 million positive. Ethereum, 1.5 million. Yeah, what you're seeing here is the flows into these funds, whether negative or tiny or whatever, don't reflect the actual price action, which is super interesting because ETH had their best week ever in years and no money flowed into digital funds. Now, who's buying? Well, Solana. This is DeFi Development Corporation. They are buying like absolutely mad. They just, like every couple of days now, they're making a huge post. And this is their biggest purchase ever of Solana. They just bought 173,000 and now hold nearly 600,000 Solana. And that's sucking in a lot of the supply. And what I might try and do is create a chart that maps all of their buys to the increase in price over the last couple of months, which could be very interesting. I guarantee you it's very correlated. And then we have this other firm called Galaxy. Galaxy, they are now listing on Nasdaq on the 16th, which I think is Friday. 16th, yeah, it is Friday. And they have been trying to get listed on the Nasdaq since 2021. I used to trade in and out of Galaxy back in the previous bull market, and they were always a very interesting shop. But I have been out of it for many years until recently. But them getting listed on the Nasdaq on Friday will be huge. That'll bring a lot more liquidity than the Toronto Stock Exchange, TSX, can ever bring them. It is available OTC, but that's not available for all people to buy. But on Friday, everybody can buy it. So watch that space. And why do I care about Galaxy? Well, they have the fourth biggest bag of Bitcoin for any public company on the planet. You hear a lot about Metal Plans and other players. These guys have 15,449 Bitcoin. After Riot, 18,600. Marathon, 46,000, 47,000 approximately. MicroStrategy, which has gone up. This table is slightly out of date because all of these companies are either mining more Bitcoin or buying more Bitcoin. Like I think MicroStrategy is now nearly 570,000 Bitcoin, getting very close to the 600,000 mark. So this is why Galaxy is important. But it's not just that too. I do believe they also, for my calculations and looking at wallets, they have somewhere between 260,000 and 290,000 Solana, maybe an awful lot more. And remember, they sold their ETH and they bought Sol. That was about $100 million worth a couple of weeks ago. So watch this space. It'll be interesting to see. And the Sol breakout continues. I made a video 2 or 3 weeks ago saying it's primed for a breakout. It's drastically overvalued. And back then, the price was like just under, it was low $100 or under $98 or something like that. Since then, it's been on a rampage. And Solana right now, as we speak, is up 85%. It's at $183. So again, it was very oversold. But the cool thing about this little chart here shows you a couple of things. One is level 4 in the ATR. It recovered very quickly from level 2 to 3 to 4 in literally 2 weeks, just like a rocket ship. And it's above the 200-day moving average. And it should stay above that from here on in for the rest of the bull market, however long that lasts. We will watch carefully. Now, speaking as well, this Wall Street coming for Bitcoin and crypto, well, this is also historic. Coinbase is set to join the S&P 500, and this is huge news, okay? Huge news for the space, huge news for everybody involved in the space. This is the first Bitcoin company, Bitcoin and crypto company ever to break into the S&P 500. I thought MicroStrategy would have been first, but you need 4 consecutive quarters of profit, and the way the S&P 500 board work is very unusual. It's a bit of a black box mystery as to how they make decisions. They don't make it based on what rank you are. So if you're looking at MicroStrategy today, it would probably be number 100, 110, 150 on the S&P 500 in terms of market cap. But again, they take their time and they have their own rules. But here, from the Bitcoin historian, Coinbase will be the first crypto native company to break into this top 500 companies on the planet. And they had a little joke, which I found very profound too. As the saying goes, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you. Remember the last 4 years? Yeah, that was the fight you stage. And then the administration changed, the regime changed, and then they add you to the S&P 500 or something like that. Very humorous. So that made me laugh anyway, at least. Because it's so true. And Matt Haugen sees Coinbase hitting $1 trillion one day. He believes, pick any company valued under 100 billion that has the highest chance of being a $1+ trillion company. Someday I'll start. Coinbase at 61 billion. We'll make it. And Coinbase as well. A huge day today. I made a post yesterday on Patreon saying typically, historically, an S&P 500 edition adds 5% of a gain going back to 1980. Well, embarrassed to say, Coinbase shot up $50 today, nearly 25%. Absolutely extraordinary move because people need to fill their boots to be in position for when they're part of the index on Friday. So that means by the time the launch happens on Friday, a lot of the price action is happening. But options expiration is also on Friday, so expect extreme volatility, which is always fun as well. That's where we are. And other good news, and not political, but just sharing what is very, very important. We had the President of the United States together with Elon Musk meeting with the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, and they are doing deals, very big deals, because Saudi Arabia as a country and a nation, kind of like United Arab Emirates, they're trying to pivot away from oil and energy into AI and that type of stuff and robotics. And what could be better? And they signed a deal as well that'll bring $600 billion of investment from Saudi Arabia to the United States. One of many deals and arrangements that have happened this week. It's quite phenomenal, the change which has happened. And it's all good for our tech stocks because you know that a lot of the money, that money is going to be earmarked for things like NVIDIA chips, which is also on fire today, bracket above 130. We had that beautiful $88 buying opportunity a couple of weeks ago. Now it's 130 while everybody was afraid. And also Tesla, because Tesla is back above $1 trillion. They closed above 318 today. In fact, it's a lot higher than that right now. It's Tesla 336. Yeah. But this is a few hours old. And again, Tesla also went on a rampage today because Tesla's up 54% in 22 days, which is a crazy move. But they were also showcasing things like robots and talking about tunnels and traffic and AI in Saudi Arabia. I'm losing my mind. Anyway, a little bit of crypto news interspersed with, let me see, where am I missing? I'm missing something. I am missing a slide. Anyway, somehow, I think it's out of sequence. Hold on a second. This one, yeah, because we're on this topic of Tesla. Sorry, that's what screwed me up. My slides this was added too late. That was a problem. But Elon Musk did bring the Optimus robots to Saudi Arabia. And this is kind of crazy. You're not going to believe this, but Optimus danced for the Crown Prince. And they are fascinated by AI and robotics because they understand the power of autonomy, autonomous vehicles, robots, GDP, growth. I guarantee you $600 billion is a spit in the bucket that this country is going to invest in AI and robotics in very short order. They know what's coming. Like all of you here watching the show, they know what's coming. Watch how they play it. And they probably have some Bitcoin bags too. So again, Bitcoin, crypto, AI, that's where you need to be. And Dubai signs a memorandum of understanding with Crypto.com to enable cryptocurrency payments for its government fees, which includes taxes and other types of things, government or company registration. So it's crazy. Again, TradFi, traditional markets, governments, they're all coming for crypto, which is wonderful. This is a rare OCTA where you see everything bleeding together. I normally segment crypto with stocks and market stuff. Now it's all together, which is amazing. And a little bit of macro news. And thank you to the 5,000 people watching live. Really appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe. And Adam Q and everybody out there, Andy in Australia. It's amazing to see people all over the world. But this is what's kind of bonkers. Inflation has hit the lowest level in 4 years, despite the tariff chaos. If you asked anybody 6 weeks ago, the tariffs are going to make everything more expensive. We're all going to die. The shelves are going to be empty. All that stuff. Well, it's not happening. So somebody get on the phone with JP and say, hey, dude, come on. Okay, the lowest level in 4 years for inflation. Time to cut some rates because the long end of the bond is very high. And we've got to refinance 9.2 trillion or else we're in trouble. Anyway, on that little depressing note, let's finish with a happy note. Meme of the day. This is from Bold Leonidas, friend of Mando, who does these funny little memes. And I thought this was very appropriate. It's how a green candle stomped all over a bear because the bulls are back in charge, everybody. I hope you're all bullish. And I just share the news, I'm not political. I don't care if you're pro or against Saudi Arabia or anything else. This is important for our assets. That's what I care about, okay? So anyway, hope you enjoy the show. Thank you all for coming. All these videos are turned into podcasts and emails and audio recaps as well and all that type of stuff. And thank you to the team that does that. And hope you like and subscribe. Have a good night, everybody. See you all tomorrow. Interesting one tomorrow. Interesting one. Tomorrow's video is actually a question. Or it might actually be Thursday. It'll be tomorrow or Thursday. I still owe you all that minor report. But that was actually a question from the Q&A that was so fascinating and so complicated. It has to be a very long form video instead. So thank you all. Engel Baxon, you're too kind. That's 2 in 1. And Making Waves and everybody, thank you. Have a good night. See you tomorrow.